Welcome to the Good Rookies podcast. My name is Faheem.
And my name is Nelly J, and we are Good Rookies.
That's right.
Yeah, what's up, everybody? This is Good Tuesday. You know what it is, y'all. Your Good Rookies family. And today, this is episode 17. Guys, we are so honored to have this distinguished guest on our show. If you don't know who he is, you're gonna learn today, y'all. So Faheem, please introduce who we got.
All right, I'm gonna keep this intro short and sweet. We have the Don Corleone of Canadian basketball content producing. Let's welcome Duane Watson to the podcast today.
Woo!
Duane.
What up, Duane, man? How you doing?
Yo, thank you so much for having me. Long time listener, first time guest. So thanks for having me on Good Rookies podcast. And you guys need to gas me up so much with that intro. Like, I'm here. It's okay. Blow me up.
No, but Duane, like, you're someone that I think a lot of people don't even know about, because like you're in the background so humbly working hard creating the content that our culture needs, right? So we'll get into more of it and for the culture, but can you walk us through how did you get into this entire world of NBA creation and storytelling? Because I think a lot of people in Canada, we're known for hockey, right? Hockey. So how did you break the barrier of bringing basketball in the forefront on a lot of networks today?
Wow, that's a big question. First, I got to shout out my mom. It's her birthday today.
So, happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
Good Tuesday, right?
Yeah, that's right.
But in terms of, I mean, it's like, I don't want to ramble, so feel free to jump in and cut me off. But I mean, first and foremost, I've always been a lover of the game, a lover of telling stories, and like looking at the media landscape. Like, I'm a bit of an older head, so like I can remember when there was no Raptors team, and I can remember going in the newspaper looking for like a story on a basketball NBA game and not only finding box scores. So, you know, as you mentioned, we're a hockey country, right? So there wasn't a lot of outlets, and also a lot of people who didn't really know the game and know the culture and know the stories. And I literally just said, hey, like, you know what? I think that I'm able to communicate these stories, whether it's like writing or radio or TV, and kind of work with these platforms to kind of share these stories that like there's a world beyond hockey, people. And just applying that passion and really trying to get in places where I can, not that I didn't want to do it myself, but there's platforms existed that like kind of had give the rating of basketball it deserves. And it's really funny because I was in the music industry in my previous lifetime.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So and like working in black music when it was kind of really popping off and hip hop was blowing up and the people labels like, what's going on? We don't know what we're doing. And kind of being on the cusp of like helping kind of like push urban music to mainstream. It's almost the same thing now in terms of what I'm dealing with, where I feel like a lot of media companies look at basketball still kind of as a black sport. And it's like, it's not really mainstream. It's not for everyone. And it's kind of like that same kind of education and kind of knocking on doors is a similar thing I'm facing right now. But, you know, we're at a really good point now where, you know, you guys doing podcasts, everyone is sharing it. There's so many Canadian players doing their thing, male and female. So, you know, it's just kind of like really kind of coming to this great, breaking point right now.
That's awesome. Well, we're honored to have you, man, because you're someone I think a lot of people should know that like because of you, a lot of things that we take for granted is here, right? So we appreciate your contributions to the NBA culture and the urban culture in Toronto. And yeah, so let's just get this started, Faheem.
That's right. No, it's actually it's an honor to have him here today. We'll be going through the podcast and getting in a little bit more into like the depth of his experience and what he brings to, like you mentioned, Nelly J, what he brings that people are completely oblivious, don't know what's happening. And he is the creative mind behind it. So I'm excited to get into that later.
Wow. You guys really like, I mean, people listening are like, yo, we got like, you guys are really hitting on a heavy, man. I can't disappoint right now, right?
You won't, trust me. You won't.
You won't, trust.
We got you, man. We got you.
So our first topic we should get into is just recently announced Trae Young. He has a signature shoe with Adidas, which is pretty big. It's going to be called the Trae Young 1. So I just want to start with a quick question for the floor right away. We heard that Steph Curry just recently got his own signature line with Under Armour. And here we have two point guards, one being almost following the footsteps of another, almost an updated or just new model of another. So in regards to shoes, with this Trae Young, shoe, how do you think it's going to do first? And then second, how do you think it's going to do comparison to the Steph Curry Under Armour shoe?
Okay, I'll take this because I have a few pairs of shoes in my collection. I think the shoe's going to do well. I think, you mentioned Steph Curry. I think that's a good parallel because when Steph Curry came on the scene, like people weren't checking for Under Armour, right? And kids weren't looking at it like as an Under Armour shoe. They're like looking at it's a Steph Curry shoe. And Steph is like, he still is an electrifying player. He can do all that stuff, and kids gravitate that. And Trae is the same kind of guy where, he's like exciting and dynamic. And I think if he's got a shoe and it's at a good price point, kids are going to buy it. And I mean, Adidas has made the share of good shoes. So I think it shows the shoe's going to do well. What was the second question? My bad.
Oh, sorry. In regards to Steph, how do you think it's going to do in comparison to Steph's?
So I'm not really feeling the new Currys, to be honest.
Thank you, Duane. I was about to say, I'm like,
Nique
Duane,
Currys.
And I'm also not feeling that logo as well. Like, it's like, I mean, I like the idea that he's evolving into having his own brand and whatnot. Like, that's cool. And I think that's great for him as an athlete and, what it represents. But I think that these ones they're not it, man. And
yeah,
I mean,
so I'm going to piggyback off what Duane said. Number one, thank God Trae signed with Adidas and not Under Armour. He has a better chance now for sure. Let's be real, because Adidas is a way better brand than Under Armour. Let's keep it 100 here, okay? Number two, the Curry brand. I think the Curry brand, Curry is going to save Under Armour's business and jobs. Let's be real. He is going to be their savior for the next 5 years. So I think hopefully if Curry gets more creative, direction or power over what he can sell, I think that will be their best bet, because what they have right now, as Duane said, it ain't it. But I'm happy for Trae. I think he deserves this. He's a very hard worker, good personality. A lot of the other ball players like him. And again, Atlanta needs this. Like, Atlanta's sports market has been, other than baseball, football, oh my goodness, basketball, it's been really hard. So I'm hoping this year Atlanta will have a better chance of having a winning franchise, hopefully this year. And now this shoe, I think, is the best timing for Trae. So big ups to Trae for that.
So I was told that he's actually behind the creative process with this, which, it's not unheard of. A lot of players are, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he's from Oklahoma. I can.
What does that have to do with it?
I'm just.
I know, I'm like Oklahoma and. Yo, you know what? I love the way.
It's not a shot at Oklahoma. It's not a shot at Oklahoma. I'm just saying. In regards to the design process, let's see. I don't doubt, he's got the game on the court already. We know, he's top 4 in the league and in points and also assists. He's talk about the future. It's about Trae Young. I think in regards to point guard position, he's going to be in that conversation. I think it's a great idea for him to be tied up with Adidas. But I think of another one, LaMelo Ball. Yes, LaMelo Ball just signed with Puma.
Yes,
right?
I saw that today.
So these guards are getting their own little option to be with these big brands. One more thing in regards to this, LaMelo Ball or Trae Young, if you had to say 5 years on the road, who do you think is going to have a better shoe? LaMelo Ball with Puma or Trae Young with Adidas?
I would probably say Adidas, because I think that, one thing I look at, and even with Under Armour with Curry White, I'm not a fan of this one. He's had some okay models in the past. He's had some decent models in the past, but it's all about the designers, right? And Under Armour is new to doing footwear. They've been around forever, and they did compression and clothing. That's been their thing. But footwear is new to them, right? And especially basketball footwear. So you look at Adidas, they've been doing shoes for a while. They've been successful doing that. So I think when I talk about new shoes, Puma is still new on the performance basketball market, right? Not that they're bad, but there's only a few shoes. So the more you do it, the better you get. And so I think LaMelo's shoe, is he going to have a signature shoe? Because they signed a bunch of guys, which is good.
Did.
Yeah, they
but
did.
Kuzma.
Nelly's probably looking for the RJ.
RJ who wants one? Shoe. Who ticket? Who wants?
Right. So I don't know if
shoe,
they're going to do that quickly, but I think what Adidas has done a lot of stuff. They've got their own signature guys. I think that'd be easy for them to plug in. But it's funny because I don't know if you saw the shoe that Trae was wearing, that next level shoe that looks like a sock. So if you look it up, it's kind of But I think that he's got the best shot at having the best shoe. I think he's also had the shot at having the best career out of the two of them.
Nice.
Yeah, you know what? To add, I actually read a really cool stat today. Guess so even last week, I don't know if you guys saw, but Derrick Rose got his 11th shoe with Adidas, right? Now he's joined an elite club of 11 signature shoes and more. Can you guess how many players have 11 shoes or more right now?
Current players?
Yes. Not current, but like overall, just players
ever.
ever in the NBA. Yeah.
Jordan, KD, Kobe. How many more are there?
You want to guess, Faheem?
No, you give how many are there? He's
Well,
guessing names.
Okay, so there are actually 8 players that have 11 shoes or
Wow.
more.
Wow.
So one is now Derrick Rose,
Right.
and there's 7 others. Can you guys
Wow.
guess who they are?
Give us some
Yeah.
hint.
Might be
Give us a
surprised who they
team.
are, but
Give us a team.
so I would say one of the players is so you guys Jordan, right? Jordan, you got Kobe, right? And you got
KD.
Okay, the other players for the Lakers. You know who he is?
Oh, LeBron. Oh, yeah. Sorry,
Yeah,
LeBron.
okay.
Yeah,
The other player, he plays for the Blazers.
Oh, Dame.
Not
Okay.
Dame. Dame's
No.
been 11 years.
Carmelo, bro.
Carmelo.
Oh, Melo.
Carmelo got 11 shoes.
Right.
The other player just went to the Suns.
Oh,
Chris Paul?
Yes,
Yeah,
I was shocked.
Wow.
And then the other player, he's retired now, but he's known for he's a bad boy, point guard, played for the Sixers, my homie.
Oh, Iverson, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I was shocked about Carmelo and Chris Paul. I was like, what? They have 11 shoes? I'm like,
Right.
what? Where was
Chris
I?
Paul doesn't surprise me because I know he's had a shoe. They just don't really perform very well. But Melo, I think it's funny because I think they stopped. Like he didn't have a shoe last year, but I guess they ended at 11. So
Yeah.
Right.
wow.
It's interesting. But yeah, so 8 players have 11 shoes. And now Derrick Rose, he's amongst greats. Kobe, LeBron, MJ. But even Chris, because Chris Paul didn't do so well, but AI too, Allen Iverson. So yeah, so big up to Derrick Rose for that too.
And all those guys have all had solid careers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's longevity in all those guys.
No
Yeah.
doubt. All right. Well, we wish Trae Young the best. Trae Young one's coming out.
Oklahoma
Keep an eye
stand
on
up.
him.
Oklahoma kid.
So Duane, I have something for you in regards to, since you have a lot of background information, but this in particular has to do with the scheduling. We have a problem just on a level where we talk about the Raptors and us constantly being snubbed by national media. And there always seems to be a conversation of like, oh, it's, because the ratings here in Canada don't count to the States. And, it's because they don't, because no marquee player. Like there's all these things that would factor in, right? Reason why I say this is because Zion is now on New Orleans and New Orleans is now on Christmas Day. I don't think it's a coincidence. That's why they got the Christmas Day game. So with the Raptors getting what one could consider maybe a snub, maybe not, because their expectations for the Raptors this Christmas is not high. I understand. But in regards to on a national level, we have 7 nationally televised games in the United States all year. Any insight you can give into the process or why this happens, or if you even think this is fair at 7 this year?
I mean, I think like the process is pretty straightforward. I mean, they want all the biggest named, teams or marquee players to be forming because Christmas Day, obviously, that's why even when they were coming back to restart the season, the players wanted January. They came back so they could do it on Christmas because, I mean, like I know I like to sit in front of the TV and watch games with family and whatnot, and they want the biggest names, the biggest stars to draw people in, right? So that's literally the logic behind it. Like they're all excited on Zion. They even did the play-in last time with the bubble just so they can get the Pelicans in there.
Right.
So the Raptors not being in there, it doesn't really bother me because it's a popularity contest. And, like we're in Canada, we don't have a superstar player for them to get excited about, but we do our thing regardless. I mean, this team still won a championship. So it's like, it's cool to be out to play on Christmas Day if you're watching. The players would probably rather not play. I'd rather not work on a Christmas Day. So, I mean, it's cool
like,
to be like up there with it, but it's like, would you rather be, do you want to be playing on Christmas Day and not be in the playoffs?
True.
So for me, it doesn't carry as much weight. Sorry.
It's interesting, right? Because if you look up the NBA TV ratings for the regular season last season, right? There are teams, the top 10 teams that are playing last year that were snubbed with the Raptors, also the Spurs. So the top 10 teams for TV ratings last year was Lakers 1, 2 Rockets, 3 Bucks, 4 Clippers, then the Warriors, Sixers, Pelicans, Spurs, Celtics, and Raptors were 10th, right? But like, you just mentioned, right? Pelicans was number 7, so they deserve to be in Christmas. But the Denver Nuggets, Jamal Murray, right? He's the superstar, right? Even Dallas, they weren't top 10, but they got Luka. So I agree with Duane, this is definitely popularity, and what do fans click on, right? It's all like that, the infographic, like which players have the most click throughs and the most like searches. And the Raptors doesn't have the top 10. So that's probably why we're on the NBA TV. But again, it's annoying, I guess, because for us, like we've been consistently a good team for the last 5 years, and we're never respected in the US media. It'll never happen ever, I think, until we get a major superstar. Maybe Harden. I'm joking. I don't want Harden, but someone like that.
Is there any truth to that, that the ratings here don't count to the ratings in the States?
Well, I think because if you look at it, because we're a different country, right? So like we're not tuning into, like, even when we're watching the games, like a CBS or NBC game, it's going through like a local provider, right? So it doesn't count for against their ratings. But I don't know how much of a bearing that has. I really think if we're talking about an entertainment day like Christmas, where popularity matters, they want the brightest names and brightest stars. Like we had a Christmas games when Vince was playing, right? So like it works out like that, right?
Yeah, because like even the Heat wasn't a top 10 rated team, but they're playing because Jimmy Butler and they're a young squad, and bam, like they have exciting players. So the Raptors, we lost Serge, Mark's gone, and our team is still kind of, I think our team is great, but in terms of the I guess American public, we're not as popular, but it still sucks though, you know what I mean? Because I think I would have loved to watch the Raptors play the Heat or someone like a top player, top 18. You know what I mean? That would be fantastic.
And these people who are forecasting these games in the preseason, how does it work? Would you think it's like a panel of like a handful of people, or do you know anything about?
It's in terms of like Christmas Day, you mean?
I'm actually, let's expand it. Just say like the whole NBA schedule, for instance. Like I
think like, I'm gonna say it again. It's like everyone has to play everyone. It's a schedule, right? But they're also gonna look at where they get the most entertainment value, right?
So when you say they, maybe that's what I want to know. Who is they? Is it like a league committee of like producers, or like?
I believe it's the league, and probably in conjunction with the network, right?
That's
like Saturdays they'll be like our best days or highest rated thing or our prime time things are like Friday nights and Saturdays or Sunday afternoons or whatever they say. So then they'll schedule that accordingly, right?
Right.
Okay, well, if we know that the Lakers are going to play the Clippers, let's put it in a prime time slot as opposed to like Monday night or whatever, right? Or if inside the NBA that night is the prime time night, they'll work stuff to work in that schedule.
Okay.
Well, I mean, the most, I guess, nationally televised team, of course, is the Lakers. They have 16 games in the first half that will be on national TV. So
obviously,
LeBron, exactly. So Duane's theory sounds like makes sense.
It sticks.
Yeah, it sticks.
Nelly J, you had, in regards to the NBA salaries, you bring up something for the NBA salaries. Go ahead.
Yeah. So Duane, question for you, right? I feel like this offseason, the contracts and signings it wasn't consistent, right? So example is you have Gordon Hayward, right? You had 80.
Yeah.
And then you also had what's the third one I was gonna add? Tatum from Boston, right?
Right.
So those 3 players had around 190, 195, but not all 3 players stand in the same pool. Like I don't think Gordon's in the same breath as AD and Tatum. So I'm just curious to know, and of course, right, Carmelo Anthony, I guess he's retiring, I get that, but I feel like he's gonna pay only $2 million. So I feel like there's a lot of like, I guess, inconsistency when it comes to salaries. Right. I'm curious to know, like, is the media really the driving force as to how marketable a player is and how much money they get? Because I feel like sometimes if the media sings you as a player that's not as good or whatever, even though like you're better, but if they sting you in that light, that it could affect your payday, right?
I don't think media has as much sway. I think it's I don't want to say it's situational by team, but like, back before COVID happened, I'm sure, Nelly, you've been to the club a few times, whatever, and you see like there's some guy buying this girl drinks, and it's like, what is this girl is like waste. Like, why is he buying? Like, there's always an owner who's gonna like overpay for a player that's not worth it, right? So like, whenever they say, "Oh, we got to bring the contracts down," someone's gonna overpay and mess it up for everybody.
Yeah.
So I mean, Gordon Hayward is not worth $130 million guaranteed. Great player.
Exactly. Like I was like, what?
But the thing is, too, is that Charlotte's it's a place that they suck. I mean, Jordan hasn't done a great job, managing, getting success out of the ball club. So it's not a free agency destination. So they're like, okay, well, if they're not going to come to us, let's pay them more money to come to us, right? And then sometimes guys like Carmelo Anthony, who is like, on the downside of their career, but it's like he's made his money, so he doesn't need to get $10 million if it's going to allow the team to get more money for better players. So it's kind of like there's a lot of situational stuff going on. I don't really think the media kind of really would make the owners think, oh, I should do whatever, because they've done their due diligence. They've watched the players. They know the players. They know what they need. They know what the fits are. Sometimes they're overpaying because they don't want another team to get them, or it's need. So I think there's a lot of things going on, but there's definitely some things that look out of whack, especially when I was totally surprised that Gordon Hayward was leaving.
Yeah, I was like,
so let me ask you guys this then. I understand now Gordon Hayward at that price tag is completely like, it's absurd. Okay. But say before the injury, when he was in Utah, and you heard that he's going for that's his market value. Before the injury, at the time when he played for Utah, when we were all thinking this guy's on the cusp of being a franchise player, do you think at that point it would be so crazy to think that he'd be a max player before Utah?
No, not at all. But you're right. But he's had two significant injuries since then, which would make you feel that, okay, I'm not going to pay that much money for damage.
Right.
He's one
I just want to throw this out also. I went back, I looked back to his stats in Utah, and his stats in Utah, I'm talking to a T. His best year in Utah matched the exact same stats he had last year in Boston.
Really?
Yes, look it up.
How many games did
you play last year? Because last year you played less games, a lot less.
I could look that up right now very quickly, but it was enough.
Remember the first Utah, he probably played close to a full season,
right?
Boston, whatever. But that's interesting, because even if he did do well, considering he was playing with Tatum and Brown and got those kind of numbers off the bench.
Exactly.
That's still
talking good, right across the board, from talking field goal to 3-point percentage, like everything. He was like, last year was his Utah prime year. And I think just because, like you mentioned, he's in Boston where they have a ton of wings, and he's just fighting to find his voice.
But even if he played a full season in Boston and still had the same numbers, I'm not paying him that stuff, because these guys got hurt bad twice.
Fair enough.
190. Listen, 195 for him. Not paying him that.
I got the numbers. He played 52 games and started 52 games.
But how many games
last season?
Last year, I can't remember. It technically wasn't a full.
Yeah, that's a bubble. You're calling bubble games, I guess, too.
Let's keep in mind, like I said, he's with another small forward, Jaylen Brown. They still got Tatum on the wing. Like he's still trying to find his voice, and I was so shocked to find he was doing that kind of work last year.
Yeah,
no, that's good. I mean, I'm happy for him.
Hey, bro, get your money. Yeah, but I'm not sure. I saw an article about how they call Carmelo the washed-up king for so many years. So they're saying that when Portland signed him, like Cam Newton, right? If the media calls you as washed up, they call you these names like Cam, like Carmelo. I find that once they go to the contract and negotiation period, I feel like they're begging to be signed. Like Cam's getting underpaid so much money right now in New England. So I feel like the media, I think sometimes if they deem you as washed up or not as good, it can affect your paycheck.
Do you think so? I mean, okay. So I'm not saying it can't. I think definitely from the fan influences the fans, but do you think that if that Cam is healthy, ready to play with the right mindset, do you think that I'm not gonna pay him the right amount of money because the media thinks he's washed up?
No, so I agree with you. I hope not, but I think sometimes it's marketing, right? To me, any sport team is a business. So if I feel this player is not gonna bring extra amount of fans and fandom to my team, then I won't pay them more money. You know what I mean? So I think it's if this player is going to bring more fans to me, then cool. But I feel like the Pats have their fans from time, so they don't need Cam to bring more fans. But I feel like they're underpaying him regardless, because I think Cam should get more money than what he's getting paid now, which is like under $1 million a year. So
but I think that's because he's coming from a position of weakness, right?
Yes, exactly. Like I'm trying to say, yeah, weakness.
Right. So it's almost like chicken and egg. Is the media trashing him because he's coming off the situation he's coming off of, or is the media trashing him because, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of hand in hand.
It's true.
Right. True indeed.
Like I saw that someone on the Lakers said, "Oh, Marc Gasol looks so good in practice right now," and I'm like, "What?" Like that guy doesn't look good. But I mean, it's almost like, okay, great, but what's reality, right?
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. Put him in a game, see what happens in the playoffs.
Yeah. Speaking of which, actually, I did see Mitchell Robinson from the Knicks. I don't know if you guys saw on IG, but I had Mitchell Robinson playing, I guess, in maybe some rec league. I don't know, like in a gym. And he was looking like the reincarnation of he was Giannis, because Mitchell Robinson already is like 6'11". He had handles. He's coming down, turnaround jump shots, everything. And, you know, a lot of the comments, they were saying, oh, you know what, like, watch out for the league this year. Mitchell Robinson's going to just like, well, when the league, when we start playing real basketball and not like people in your rec league, like there's levels. And he's not going to be doing that once he gets into the league on start of season. So
we're all on IG. We all see it. We scroll through. We see. I haven't seen a bad highlight video at all. I haven't seen a highlight video of a player kicking the ball off his foot, missing shots. Everything is wet.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
everything.
Right. Everyone gets excited. You're right, though. Off season is the best time. I mean, remember when they were having those runs one summer? It's like, oh, look at these guys look so good, and then it's
I remember that. Was it last year? I think. Was it last summer? I think.
Before that, yeah. But everyone's always like, oh, this is the season, and it's like, forget about it.
Yeah.
Well, that's how I feel about Durant and Kyrie, because I'm hearing lots of big talks about Katie and Kyrie, like, yo, they're gonna be so good. And I'm like, guys, if you remember, if we go back in time when Kyrie was coming for injury, going to Boston, go, oh, Boston made it so deep without Kyrie. Imagine when Kyrie comes back, right? So I'm just like, guys, like, there's so much hype before seasons. It's like, let's see what happens. Let's just see.
Yeah, I think that the hype exists just because, like, it's been so long. Like, they've both been hurt. The talent is there. Like, there's so much excitement. I mean, I'm low-key. I think they're going to be all right, but we just don't know, right? We got the big names. Everyone wants to talk about it.
Right.
I think with that team is chemistry. I think chemistry can kill them. Like the Clippers, right? You know, we saw how Kawhi and the Clippers didn't really click that well, and players were hating on Kawhi and Paul George treatment, all that stuff. I'm wondering how they're going to handle that in Brooklyn, because Brooklyn, the stars are Katie and Kyrie. So we'll see how it goes. But it's all about chemistry, man. No chemistry, then I don't care how much talent you have. Like, you won't do anything in the playoffs, right?
It's not. You have so many new players. Sorry, Faheem, but I mean, like, you know, you look at when the big three, when Miami got together the first time, they didn't win it all the first year because you've got to, like, figure out how to play together, right? Same thing you mentioned with the Clippers. I think it's going to be the same thing with Brooklyn. I mean, they want to go to a championship, but that's a lot of new players, a new coach to figure out to get together and make it happen. With Kawhi, it was easy because the Raptors were still the Raptors. He just kind of got added to them. So chemistry.
Right. That's right. So the Rogers Center. I want to get into a little bit of baseball.
I still call it Skydome, by the way. I'm old school.
Oh,
me too. I call it Skydome sometimes too. I'm like, the Skydome you mean for him? What's the Rogers Center?
Just doing my due diligence.
Rogers, that's why he's got to plug it appropriately.
Right. So unfortunately, it looks like it's coming down. So it's opened its doors in 1989. It's for about $570 million to build. It was the first retractable roof in Major League Baseball, and now it's coming down. They're tearing it down. What's your thoughts on this?
Well, let me ask you a question first. When's the last time you were in Rogers Center?
I was there a year ago. Well, last year for this.
Probably through 2 years ago for a baseball game.
Yeah,
once.
Last year for a game.
But you could probably count the amount of times you've been in there, like, last 5 or 10 years, right?
Maybe like
for
three
sure.
times a year.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, like, it's a shame because when it opened, it was like, you know, that was state of the art. It was like really interesting and cool. But I think that, you know, with modern sports and arenas and stadiums, it's like there's so much changeover. Like, I really took in the Dallas Stadium the other day, and I was like, holy cow.
Yo, it's a whole new level.
Yeah.
I find football stadiums in America are at a different playing field.
So I mean, I think like, but even still, so they're football stadiums, but they're also like, big, like if U2 comes to Toronto, they're gonna play like the biggest bands. I saw Jay-Z and Beyonce there like last time I was there too. So you need a kind of full-size facility to kind of like have those big events and big shows, but it's a dinosaur. You know what I mean?
So for those shows, can those same shows be in the ACC or sorry, the Scotia Bank Place, whatever they're calling
that name has changed so many times. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what it's called anymore. ACC, Scotia.
I mean, Scotia Bank Arena is like 19,000,
right?
Like 50,000 in Rogers Center. So,
right.
Like you're not gonna like Jay-Z and Beyonce got to make their money, right?
Right.
So it's like they're gonna go to a bigger venue, right?
Yeah.
So that's the big difference. And I think like for football, I mean, I don't know. The Argos don't even play there anymore, so it's not even a point. They play at BMO Field. So
right.
That's true because so I've been to a Bills game. So once a year they have a Buffalo Bills game at the Rogers Center. So I used to go to that, and that was really dope. But I do think that the stadium is outdated. When I heard it, I was like, "What is going to be shut down?" But it seems like they're trying to redesign it into more modernized stadium, and I think they're trying to build or have like condos within the stadium. So because that real estate market in Toronto is premium right now, right? So
I heard they were gonna I think they're gonna do condos there. I don't know if this is true, but they were talking about building a baseball. So it's gonna be a baseball field, not like a stadium anymore. But I know they're trying to look at spots down at like Parliament at Lakeshore, like how they're doing like it's wide open. There's all this space there. Yeah. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I think it's gonna be tough. Like it's kind of like a still old building. Like they'd almost have to like knock it down. Like if you want to be able to maximize it, you probably have to blow it up.
Right.
I don't want to be right now for that.
Yeah. So who's paying for that though?
So here's the thing. It's bigger than just a stadium, because if you talk about even the identity of the city, like we live in the city, right? But for those from the outside looking in, like when you think of like New York and you have like, the Twin Towers and like there's certain things that make your skyline. You have to think without like you look at that skyline, you think of the CN Tower, and right away you see Skydome or Rogers. You know what I'm saying? Like that's part of our identity from the outside.
Yep.
So I think that's gonna change our skyline quite a bit, like for something that we're just so used to seeing. That's for a second. Also, in regards to Major League Baseball, a lot of the teams, especially now, they go to natural grass, right? For many reasons. One, it's better for the athlete. It's just a better baseball experience, period. And actually, us having turf can turn away a lot of high-priced free agents to coming here just because of the fact of how much playing on turf is just not liked.
Yeah.
So if we do go, we'll have to go back to the original. Remember before Skydome, it was at CNE Exhibition Place, right? And that's got to be the look. But what you have to think is nothing's changed in regards to weather. And I remember I was a kid when they played at Exhibition Place. I've been there once, but they play into like September, and it's cold there, especially by the lake.
It could even be October. You're right.
So
you mentioned grass. I remember that. I forgot. There's a European football club came in for a match, and they put grass in.
Right.
Because like we're not going to play on turf, and they put grass in Rogers Center because they had to.
Right.
So right. That's a premium item that they need to kind of address. And
right.
How's it going to work? I think, are they going to have like when we're in Toronto, you can have like stadiums, like open roof stadiums in like Florida and the West Coast and even the Midwest of US. But like if you're playing October, like remember when TFC had their championship a few years ago?
Yeah.
Oh,
I had tickets to that game and I didn't go because I'm like, I'm going to sit on this metal bench. And it was like freezing that day. Like winter sports outside are the worst, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So
good point. So Nelly J, let's go to Horticulture. I've been waiting for this all day. Let's
culture. So y'all would like to highlight people, places, and things that really uplift our culture. And today, our For the Culture is all about Duane Watson.
That's right.
Look at his face. He's like, really, y'all? Really?
I'm going to get you guys. Don't worry.
So Duane, honestly, real talk, you have been for the culture, like real talk. So we want to highlight a few things that you've been doing for the community and like your projects, like your babies, right? So the first one I wanted to highlight was Crown League, which I'm a huge fan of. I go to games. I go every year. Right. I love seeing the young Canadian athletes get to showcase and play with professional or semi-professional players and kind of see how they kind of, play against those guys. So how did that come about? And why did you want to have something like that in Toronto?
So I can't take full credit for Crown League. Charles Yearwood, my homie who I've known for a long time, works at Nike. We've been knowing each other for like almost 20 years. And we talked about the basketball scene, obviously, and we've seen it flourish and rise in Toronto. And he's like, now is the time where we're ready to kind of, if we go back to like 10 or 15 years when like we only had a handful of Canadians in the NBA, they're going to come home and visit their family. And if they want to play high level ball, they got to go back to the States because there isn't enough people for them to play against, right? Or there isn't like a gym or facility they can walk into and do what they got to do. And now there's a bunch of players who are like, either playing overseas at a high level or playing in the NBA or playing in NCAA. And it's like, now's the time where they can come back and kind of like play in front of a crowd at home, play at high competition. Because a guy like Andrew Wiggins, who only comes to Toronto once a year, right? Because they only come, Western Conference teams only come once. So, but what about getting to see him in a gym, like with 1,000 people and, you can touch him. And I think there's two things that I really like about Crown League. Like I remember like when your Norm Powell came and DeLon came and kids are like, they can touch these guys. If you go to a game at Scotiabank Arena, that's not happening, right? You're like, they can't afford to sit that close to how they're sitting, right? And the other thing is just what I loved about it is that like the ball was on a high level, but it was really a vibe. Like people would come and chill and connect and see people or reconnect with people. And the vibe was cool. And the energy, like it was really, I felt like it was a community vibe where like people would come. It's like, I don't know who's playing, but I got to come reach to like either see who's going to be there or just see my people or just hang out and stuff. And I think that was great for the city because it also like showed, like it introduced, like there's some guys who could ball who people don't know. Like everyone might be coming for like, oh, which NBA guy's here? But it's like, yo, this guy is really nice. And people are making names for themselves. So I think that it was great on so many levels where that could happen and be like a place where, every week and Friday, people would come and you don't even know who's going to show up because the way it works with the NBA is that you can't promote who's coming because, we're not, like you can't profit off of that.
Yeah.
So people wouldn't know, which kind of adds to the mystique. But people weren't like, oh, this sucks. It's like the games were always competitive. So that energy was great. And we had a lot of fun building it up year after year where people was like, yo, I want to play in Crown League. Or, yo, I'm coming in the finals. Like my phone would blow up. Because everyone is trying to reach, right?
Guilty as charged.
As Faheem, as per Faheem.
But I just thought it was really good to see that, like this talent could be there and people can also like, just really get a chance to like experience that stuff. And it really was like the ball was great, but I also thought the energy was fantastic where, like we never had any drama at all. Like it was never a fight or anything. And, people so it was just, like there's that level of respect for everyone and it was just cool.
So you, what I thought was really cool was you gutted the Ryerson gym.
Yeah.
And
we did it. So what happened is
you gave it a makeover.
I'll let you finish.
No, I'm just saying you gave it that Holmes makeover. I'm speaking
HDTV life over there.
that I walked in that gym and I was honestly, I'm not exaggerating. I was like, where am I? Like I'm talking, you had like the dim, like the lights, but with the dim lights. It's almost like.
Oh, you're talking about the recent one. I'm thinking of do you remember when we made the court white?
That was what Jarvis or was that the
no that was at Ryerson.
Ryerson,
the last year.
As
right.
Y'all moved to UFT, right? On Spadina.
No. No. First, then went to Ryerson. OVO was
okay. The Ryerson.
OVO was right.
But like the 1 year, we did the whole floor was white and painted on the walls, and it was like you totally can recognize the court gym because it like I haven't seen a white court in this country.
I remember that.
No, never.
But you're right though. Like the last season, it was like the lighting hit differently. There was a screen in there, and I think that was the thing where like you have this experience. Like it's not just like. Like it's experience in addition to like high ball, all that, what I mean? So it's like, just like you wanted to kind of level it up. And I think that brought in more people, like you guys and everyone else we know was going to be there regardless, but more people like, yo, like this is like introducing people to these players and to this vibe, this scene.
Yeah,
And
you know
also
what? Some
that
players that I saw there, I actually want to see more. I think a few players that were in high school playing there, I know are now playing in college and got
Yep.
signed to D1 schools. And my boy Sheldon Cassimy and
Yeah,
Nathaniel, who's now the coach for Hornet, for yeah, like at that time he wasn't coaching an NBA, but now he's coaching an NBA and he's the coach at Crown. So it's great seeing these folks that weren't really doing much then and now Funda is working with Team Canada. Yep. You got Nathaniel working in the NBA. You're seeing players in D1. So the Crown League to me is like a platform to give Canadian talent, coaches, players, supporting staff a chance to make it, in the industry. So I love that
showcase,
about it.
Right.
Yeah, and what's funny is one year I remember that this is like the year when they changed like the FIBA qualifying and like Canada basketball was competing throughout the year as opposed to like just sending a team in the summer. Mm-hmm. And like Jay Triano was the head coach. Jay Triano and Roy Randall were there and they were watching guys week after week who were like just like showing out and playing so well. And a lot of guys got invited. I'm not saying Crown like broke them, but I'm saying Crown gave these coaches the opportunity to see them play firsthand, to be like, oh, I should be considering this guy. And it was really good that was, these opportunities were afforded these guys who might not have got a look before. And I think that's what's important. The guys who got a game film, they could, use that for recruiting or trying to get agents or trying to get deals overseas and whatnot, and just building their games and building their names. Because you're right, high school guys, college guys have kind of come through there. I mean, one moment for me that really stands out. So the Canadian junior men's team, RJ's team, had won the gold medal, they beat the US, right? And they came back and we did like a little, like a recognition for them, right? Mm-hmm. And the game after we did it, Kelly Olynyk had a buzzer beater three, like right in front of the game winning three, and he fit right in front of them, and then he hugged them as he was celebrating, right?
Oh no!
And it's like awesome. That's kind of stuff is like it's just great moments, right? Like it's like it's inspiration. So, yeah.
It's great that you provided that platform for them.
Yeah, and then one more thing. I just gotta say, we had a women's game one year too, because I
did see that.
Like if you look at the rankings for the Canadian men's national team and women's national team, the women's team ranked fourth in the world. Like our women's program has been like on fire from time. So the women's game's kind of been overlooked. So we really wanted to showcase that game too, because they're doing their thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like Team Canada was ranked recently as number 4 in the world. Yep. The women's national team. So that's big up Team Canada.
It's nice they got the chance to it's good they got a chance to showcase that. I just want to mention, so there's certain teams. This was a Crown League in regards to sanctioning. That's like one of the handful of tournaments to actually be sanctioned by the NBA. Is that how it works? Or if you had an injury,
I don't know how many are. I mean, I know it's the only one in Canada, but I know because I had to do that paperwork. But yeah, it's like you got to basically the NBA has to approve you, because theoretically, if an NBA player comes and plays, if we have a run and a player breaks their leg, the NBA is like, you're on your own, right? But if something happens to them because it's a sanctioned event, it's covered in their contract, right?
Right.
So you got to go through the process to get it, so that they're authorized to do it. And I know OVO is sanctioned as well, but so you got so it's kind of it's not a rigorous process, but there's definitely paper procedures you got to go through to make it happen. And that way, you want the best of best. And the same thing for NCAA sanctioning, which is way more complicated, but you want to have the best people to showcase for the city.
Right. Mm-hmm. All right. So that's Duane Watson, his hat as an organizer. Check. Let's go to Duane Watson as a producer. Producing the Hangout, the lineup on NBA TV. Tell us about your producing.
So my road to being in sports media was kind of I literally I worked in the music industry, as I mentioned, and I wanted to change. Downloading was killing the industry, and they didn't know what was happening back then. And I'm like, give me a package, I'm gonna do my thing. And I was writing a bit before I got hardcore in the music industry, and I went back to writing again, and I was just writing for different outlets and different publications, and that was my thing. Moving to NBA.com and Slam Magazine and other stuff, and then I started doing radio stuff. I had a podcast with Morgan Campbell from CBC Sports and my homie Will Strickland, and it's called All Balls Don't Bounce. And our approach was, Faheem's nodding because I know he used to listen back in the day.
Yeah.
But we used that as and then TSN Sports, TSN 1050 opened in Toronto. And we're like, they don't got anyone who does basketball. Let's pitch them. But I'd never done radio before. Mm-hmm. And they said, sure, we'll give you a show. And myself and Will had a weekly radio show called One on One with Duane, where it was just basketball. And it was kind of wild because we had Corey Joseph come up when he was with the Spurs, and Corey Joseph had never been in TSN at all. Like, you know, the guy was an NBA champion, he'd never been in TSN. When Jamal McGlure was playing with the Raptors that season, we brought him up to the studio, and he'd never been to TSN before. And like, you know, like this guy came for a podcast, he came for us. So they were like, wait a minute, what's going on? And then we also had like when First Take was the ball, like Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless back. And they're like, we're trying to get these guys on the radio, and you're getting us a podcast? Like, what are you guys doing? What do you know? So I say that in the sense where, like, you know, we have a love for the game. We understand the culture of the game. We know how it works. We know how to speak on it. And that's kind of what I think helped me get, you know, continue to advance. And then Akil Augustine had the Hangout, and he invited me to come on the show. And it was like the first episode. And it was like myself, Dan Glavin, and Duane Casey. And it was like a lot of fun. I think it was the first time really doing TV. And I ended up doing another show, and I visited him, and he's like, you know, I got there early, and he's like talking to the producers, talking to the directors, working on the script, booking the guests, doing the storyline, you know, this and that. And I'm like, you do all this stuff? Like, that's crazy. And he's making highlight packs. He's like, yeah, I have to. And I'm like, well, I don't know what you're doing, but I know how to like book guests and come up with storylines because I pay attention. So that's how I ended up being the producer. But I'd never sat in a control room before. And, you know, some guys at MATV kind of showed me the ropes to where I'm like producing like live television and whatnot. But it's all rooted in the story. Like, the story is always the fundamental thing for me. I like sharing stories. And there's a lot of stories I felt we got to share on the Hangout, where we talked about stuff that no one was talking on TV in Canada. Like, no one was talking about the game that we do. Like, it's not even a diss, it's a reality. Like, the most approach to sports in this country is just like what happened in the game, what they said after the game. That's it. You know, we're not talking about the stuff we're talking about here, or in the way that we're talking about it here. And that was, and also what's reflecting the faces, like there wasn't black faces or even other color faces or female faces. And I think that was important for us to do in the Hangout in terms of giving them that platform to do it. And I think that was the start of it for me. And then I ended up doing more like narrative storytelling content, and NBA XL they brought it back, and they wanted me to do that show just because I had a lot of connections in terms of like the grassroots and telling the stories. And I think that's one thing I get to do, where I get to like give platforms to people, like, you know, their stories or grinds or struggles that people may not necessarily know about, but need to, or letting them know like what's coming or what's going to be popping. So I've done a bunch of other stuff too. I just recently did like a humanities summit for Giants of Africa for Maasai, for a youth summit.
Yes.
Good job.
I'll ask you about that. You know why? Because I read your article that you did with Maasai, talking about race relations and being a Black NBA president. And I'm curious because, you know, Maasai is the first Black president in the NBA. And I feel like you're also the first really big Black producer that we know of behind the scenes in the sports world. Like, I don't really know of really any Black
regarding basketball
producers
period
that are showing basketball. So, I mean, there could be, but I'm saying, like, in terms of the public, I'm unaware of that. So I'm just curious to know, is there something where, like, do you think we're going to see more Black producers in the future? Because I know we had on the show in the past, we had Andrew Miller, we had Warren talking about how they feel that there isn't enough, you know, Black producers on the back end to really help push, like you said, the Black faces and the storytellers around the sports we love. Like, even for football, I love football, and I watched the TSN take on football, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, he has no knowledge about football. Like you say, you're just saying like this one, oh, Cam Newton, ha ha ha, and I'm like, shoot me now. Like, so I'm curious to know, like, do you think we're gonna see a lot more Black production people in the background?
You know, that's a good question. I think things have been changing. I think with anything, it's like kind of like an entertainment, right? Like, you look at like there's artists, but there isn't necessarily managers, right? With sports, there's like Kayla Gray, like she's there, but there isn't like a Black producer there with her, right? So I mean, which is fine. So I think it's like it's got to grow. I think they have to feel that there's a place for these stories. They have to feel their audience wants these stories. They're just starting to realize that, like, oh wait, people do like basketball. Right? Like, I mean, but how far, but and I'm not defending TSN or Sportsnet, but I find that they don't really do a lot of storytelling, period.
Yes.
Like, I'm a big fan of 30 for 30, right? And to me, it's like, we know, like, they should be doing way more, even hockey documentaries. Like, I don't see a lot of stories where, like, we know what happens in the court or the rink or whatever, but we don't really get to know these people. And I think that I don't see that happening from the mainstream media that much. And so it's almost like they don't do it for the other sports, never mind our stuff. But I think they got to be open to like having people and have voices. And I mean, it's tricky because, yeah, I don't think there's a lot of people who do what I do.
There isn't. I'm like, I don't know of anybody. I can't.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's people who do, but I also wonder, like, it's kind of like, do people feel there's an audience for that? I've had a lot of latitude at NBA TV where, you know, like they let me do what I want to do, which is great. But I think that TSM would be like, oh, you know what, this isn't really what we want to do. I mean, I know recently they just did, Kayla did this short doc on Mike Kabongo that they did recently. But I mean, which is great. But you know, I to me, like, I expect more from like the big companies because they have like the manpower to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and to kind of add to what you're saying, you know, like The Last Dance, right? That was a documentary, but I remember when that was out, everyone was tuned into The Last Dance. It wasn't a TV, it wasn't a game. It was a documentary on an infamous team, and I feel like we have a lot of great teams that came through in Canada that we don't talk about. Like, I know Faheem last week with Kevin Weeks talked about your team, Edmonton Oilers, right? The 84 Oilers. So there's teams that we can talk about the story behind it, but we don't do it in Canada. So I feel like we're always a beat after the States. Like ESPN, they're storytellers there. They have quite a few documentaries that they captivate with their athletes and with teams. But I feel like in Canada, we don't really talk about those stories at all. Like, rarely talk about those stories.
Straight facts. You're 100% right. It's disappointing because I think that, you know, the art of a true story is like The Last Dance, of course, was like Jordan and obviously the Bulls and, you know, one of the best teams ever. But you didn't have to be a real hard basketball fan to appreciate that series. And that's, I think, the art of a true story is like going to pull you in for, you know, what happens, the struggle, all that stuff, as well as being whatever. And I think there's an opportunity to do that in this country. I don't think it really happens a lot.
So you did mention what you're working with Masai. Real quick in regards to.
Okay, sorry. I feel like that's. I'm not saying you're saying I'm name dropping. It just feels like I'm name dropping. But go on.
Oh no.
For Masai.
This is open forum here. That's fine.
Oh, hold on a sec. Masai's calling me. 1 sec.
Hi, Masai. FaceTime him. I'm joking.
But what exactly, like, and is it a doc type thing, or like what can you give us a little preview in regards to what we'd be looking at?
It actually aired. So basically, every year on December 4th is like Giants of Africa Day, and what they did is they did a youth summit for like middle school and high school kids, and it was all rounded about humanity, right? And there was different panel discussions, you know, like PK was one of the panelists, PK Subban, Marcy Ian, Taylor Gray moderated some of the panels, Masai was on them. They also had a panel of like, you know, high school kids just talking about like, you know, racism, allyship, and humanity and whatnot. Kia Nurse also spoke. So it was just kind of like a 70-minute like stream that was set up through like the schools or whatever, and they just tuned in and they could watch it and just like, you know, sharing different perspectives and stuff. So Giants of Africa is obviously his baby and celebrating Mandela and what he's done and whatnot. And I basically kind of like, I was the quarterback. So there was some, I don't know if you recently saw there's a video that Masai had done where he was talking about humanity and there's all these photos around.
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
that was like the centerpiece to it. So, you know, basically taking some of the pre-recorded elements and like, you know, overseeing the panels and stuff and putting it together so it was ready for that stream. So it's, I believe if you go to giantsofafrica.org, you could probably watch it.
That's really
okay.
Cool.
So that's Duane Watson, the producer. Check. Lastly, for the culture breakdown, I want to get into Duane Watson, the contributor.
Yeah,
he's contributed for NBA.com, Hoop Magazine, and Slam Magazine.
Massive.
Among others.
Among others, yeah.
Keep it going.
Hey, keep
it going.
Y'all can Google him. Google Duane Watson, yes? After the show. Google him.
I say among others because that stuff didn't happen at first. I had to do, like, I don't know if you remember, there was a Black lifestyle magazine in Toronto called Sway, which was like,
I remember Sway, yeah.
Yeah, so I used to write for Sway, but I was writing, like, I was a freelance. I said, I'm going to leave my job. I'm a freelance writer. My wife's like, we got a mortgage to pay. So I was writing anything I had to get that check, right? So, and there was a lot of things that I, you know, like just doing different stuff, different outlets that weren't necessarily sports, because this is like 9 years ago. It wasn't like the basketball landscape was so different, right? So like there wasn't like the funny thing is I always talk about stuff when it's like, oh, what do you want to be 5 years from now? It's like, Crown League wasn't around. Like, you know what I mean? Like NBA, I wasn't doing stuff in NBA TV 5 years ago. Before the radio, TSN 1050 didn't exist. Like if I cycle back in my timeline, a lot of things I was doing didn't exist. So it's been a bit of an evolution. So I just say among others because not that you guys are saying it happened overnight, but there was like that whole grind part to get there.
Of course. And when you mentioned Sway, keep in mind, Sway was a free magazine.
Yeah.
I do remember picking it up for free.
Yep.
So it goes to show the grind and the work you put in.
Well, I actually did get paid for. I mean, it's published by the Toronto Star, so
okay.
I did get a little check out of that. But I mean, yeah.
But Duane, so like, can you talk about that? I think a lot of people sometimes, people today right now because of COVID, I think people right now are trying to find their passion, right? Their passion job, their job that they enjoy. What advice do you have for someone out there that is looking to either write, paint, anything in creative, but what kind of, I guess, advice would you give someone that's not trying to break into a new world that doesn't really pay well, but but their heart's behind it? What advice do you have for that person?
So it's funny. I had to pick up a rental car on Monday. I got in a car accident. I don't know. I felt the need to say that, but I'm fine. Anyways, and and I mean, this isn't a humble brag, but so I'm checking in. He's like, "What's your reservation number? What's your name?" With Duane Watson, he's like, "Oh, your name sounds familiar." And I'm like, "Oh, he knew about my radio show, whatever, right?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I used to do this and that." He goes, "I actually went to school to do like communications and media, right?" I'm like, "Oh, okay. So what are you doing now?" And obviously, he's working rental car spot, but I'm like, "Oh," he's like, "Well, I'm young. I'm 25," and I'm like, I go, "But you want to do like he's a soccer guy, right?" I go, "Why aren't you doing a podcast? You love soccer. Like you doing a podcast is not gonna. It's just you talk with your friends all the time. Like that's nothing, right?" But I go, if like TFC shows up and says, "Hey, we want you to do something. Can you give us your demo or show us what you've done?" You don't have anything, right? So I'm in a convoluted way saying like I was able to make when I was kind of like not as interested in my job anymore in the music industry. Writing was my passion, so I would still write. I would write for free or write for whatever, but like I was still kind of like exercising my passion because it made what I didn't like about my 9 to 5 not as fun. So whatever your passion is, and now like technology is so different. We're like, you guys are doing a podcast. Boom, we want to do this. We're doing a podcast. That's it. You're getting big guys like Kevin Weeks on your show. You guys are killing it on the content. No, but you know what I mean? Like you're doing it. And it's so, I say that in the sense of like, if you want to do it, you can, right? There's no reason technology is level the playing field where you can't do what you want to do. So if you want to be an artist, if you want to be whatever, because I've been fortunate that my 2 careers that I've had are stuff that like music and basketball. Like I wake up every day and it's not work. Like, oh, I have to look and see what's going on in the NBA. That's not work to me. I would do that.
Oh man. Oh, Trae.
Gosh, man. Oh man. I have to watch this game.
LeBron again interview.
Oh gosh. I have to go to this game and watch it and talk about it.
Oh man, Game 7 against Philly again. Oh, Kawhi shot.
Yeah, but I know I recognize I'm fortunate, but like I think like pursue your passion. And I told the guy, I'm not saying quit your job, but start doing it because you might find out, you know what? I don't really like this part, but I like this part.
Right.
And you're gonna get better the more you do it. And maybe it's gonna be a bridge to where like, oh, okay, you know what? Like for me, when I talked about my writing, I did other stuff. I was doing other stuff because I needed to get paid, but then I was kind of moving to where I was doing basketball, where that became my job. Like my job is literally basketball now, right? That's all I do. So I think that you need to like, even for your own mental health, I'm not saying a career standpoint, do what you love, like period, right?
Yeah.
And whatever kind of dosage you can do. If it's pottery, make pottery. Like, it's, you might suck, it might be bad because you're not good, but eventually you can get better. And maybe it can turn to a point where you can like open your own business or whatever. But I think that you need to pursue your passion, whatever you do, because there's a lot of 2020, I don't even got to start. You guys know the deal with that. But I think that honestly, like if you want to do something, if like you're young and you want to do this, like get your reps, do it, practice, get better at it, talk to people, learn more. I mean, for me, when I was coming up, I didn't have a Duane Watson to say, hey, how did you do this? So for me, like whenever anyone else hits me up and wants to like get any insight, it's like, I have no problem. I'm not like, oh, I'm not going to tell you because I don't want you to pass me. It's like, there's more room for everyone because there isn't enough voices like ours who are out here doing our thing.
Right.
Sorry.
No.
Great advice, man. No, because people out there are looking for stuff like that. So thank you for sharing your advice for sure.
So that's going to conclude the For the Culture segment. We went over Duane Watson as the producer.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Is there a
the
Sade album
organizer,
cover in the
producer, and
background?
writer.
Hold on, is
Sorry?
there Sade in the background? I just got to make sure. I can't talk to you. Is there Sade in the background?
There is.
Okay, good. All right, cool. As you were.
We
Oh,
have
so funny.
covered Dwayne Watson as a producer, Dwayne Watson as a contributor, Dwayne Watson as the organizer. Enough respect, my friend.
Enough respect. And
you.
also check out, I think you have Nique, right? So what's Nique before we head out? What's Nique and why did you create that platform?
So Nique is a project I do with my good friend Craig. Sorry, okay. I have to say this because I'm laughing a bit. So basically, his name is Craig White. He's a white guy. His nickname is Craig Caucasian because he was a group of friends, and there was also a Craig White that was black. So they would call him Craig Caucasian, so they would have confused with Craig White, the black guy. So, but I had to explain that because if I say Craig Caucasian, you're like, who is this guy? A pro-Aryan guy? Yeah. Anyways, so Craig's my homie, and like we would just be like, on IG or seeing stuff that we thought was like really cool or like dope and stuff, and also coming across like articles or stories that we found really interesting, and it's like, why don't we just like start sharing this stuff? Like, why don't we just kind of like share the stuff we like? Because if we like it, there's probably other people who like it. And I think it's like kind of like the stuff that you don't necessarily find online. Like, I mean, like we all know, like we're going to find highlights, we're going to find that stuff, but like, oh, like here's this like dope art drawing of like Jordan you've never seen, or this wax coconut candle of an NBA Spalding ball that like I would want to have in my house kind of stuff, right? So just like all cool stuff for like really insightful stories about like, the wage gap between the WNBA and the NBA players, like all these things that we want to share, like that are manifestations of like of basketball culture. And that's kind of really where it came from. So it's like, it's really a passion project. I mean, just stuff we want to share and kind of put out there and, also enlighten people when we can.
Yeah, no, that's really dope. I saw it. I'm like, it's a really good website.
I
like it.
All right, so let's go to our last segment, which is That's Absurd.
That's absurd. Faheem, bro. What was absurd this week, bro? What was absurd?
So this absurd topic this week goes to D'Angelo Russell.
D'Angelo. He's talking a lot lately, son. Talking a lot.
So what he said this week was the comment of, quote, the Rubio piece, and mind you, I just want to backtrack this. So he's talking about Ricky Rubio, who just got traded to Minnesota. Now Minnesota having Rubio and also having D'Angelo Russell, 2 point guards. So he's speaking to this, quote, the Rubio piece is actually different. I never played with nobody at this caliber. Somebody that brings what he brings to the game, end quote. Now, so keep in mind, he's talking about a point guard, and he just came off playing with Steph Curry.
The Warriors, one of the most biggest teams in the NBA in the last decade.
So I'm gonna throw it out. I'm gonna start with that's absurd. Perhaps I might shift to maybe not so absurd, but I'm looking at Steph and I'm looking at Ricky Rubio. Duane, can you figure out why he would say that or what his angle is with this?
So no, you're talking about the media, right?
Right.
So I think he's saying, obviously we know that Steph is a better player than Ricky Rubio. That's not up for debate.
Right.
I would argue that Ricky is probably a better playmaker than Steph Curry.
Agreed.
I would agree because he averages more assists. Every year.
But I mean, 0.8 more assists though. It's not like 8 to 2. It's like 6.8 to 7.1.
but I even think on the eye test, it's like I'm not taking it away from Steph's playmaking ability, but he's he's passing the guys for buckets. Like Klay Thompson's hitting everything, right? But I think that Ricky Rubio has good assists on teams, with guys who aren't as good shooters, right? But I think he also creates better scoring opportunities for his opponents. Not to diss Steph's playmaking ability. So I think that, and Ricky is legit a solid playmaker. That's his main thing, right? He's also improved in other areas, but not close to Steph. So I think that's what he's saying. Also, he's got to vouch for his guy, right? When guys say when guys say they're the best, or when I remember Wall and Beal said they're the best backcourt in the league, and we're like, what? You crazy? Yeah. But that's who has the best podcast on the web?
Good rookies.
Exactly. someone else will say, "Oh, you guys are wilding." So I mean,
you know how we do.
You got to be believing yourself, right? So
Yes.
that's how I look at it. I mean, I don't think he was trying to really throw shade. I think he was just trying to say, like, "Yo, like, I really think that this guy is like on a different level versus who people I play with." That's my.
So my angle is he was trying to throw some shade. I think he's a bit salty. I think he needs some water. Okay. I think he's kind of parched. Okay. But the salt is real. All right. First of all, I understand he's in a new team, but bro, just say I'm happy to work with Ricky Rubio. He's a great player. And that's it. We're gonna be, oh, I've never had a player like just like well, stop. Okay. Kyrie did that a few months ago with LeBron and we called him out. We gotta call out Mr. Russell as well. Like, stop being salty. Enjoy your team and move on, bro. Because guess what? Steph Curry will make it to the playoffs this year, but will you guys make it? We shall see.
No one wants to
Shall see.
So I'm gonna throw this out though. So we see how we talk about point guards and combo guards. So I get from a pure point guard standpoint where Rubio is definitely going to be the more, as you say, eye test and the more pure of a point guard of the two. Steph, they need Steph to do more. They can't just have Steph to contribute because they need him to score also, right? They don't need Ricky Rubio to score. So
no.
Ricky Rubio is a great position player for that. So that's why I said at face value, it may seem completely absurd. But when you look a little bit deeper and see from the angle of who said it and why he said it, I'm not really leaning towards so absurd. I think we need to just really look into Ricky Rubio and what he brings as a whole package. So
I get you, but it's not about Ricky Rubio. It's about the fact that Russell is talking about Steph behind his back. Like, why bring him up? The absurd part is that, like, that's the absurd part. For real, like, why bring up Steph? Like, leave Steph alone. Like, you're on a new team. Move on, bro. Like, I feel like he wants to throw shade and act like his team is our championship caliber team. They're not on top 3 for me. So I feel like stay in your lane. Be happy to work with Ricky Rubio, but don't act like you're on this, like, championship team like you're the Clippers or the Lakers, bro. Like, calm down.
Do you really think that's what he's trying to say? Like,
I do. I really feel like I really feel like he's salty. I think he just salty because I feel he's salty. Real talk.
So if you're Minnesota's coach right now, and you have a chance you have 2 point guards. Unfortunately for Russell, D'Angelo Russell, when he gets shifted around, he's always going to places where there's a point guard already. Like, he went to play with Steph. He wants to be a point guard. He no option. He has to shove to the 2. He goes to Minnesota. Yeah, I got Ricky Rubio now. Chances are, I don't think Rubio's going to come off the bench. Chances are he's probably going to start him and move him to the 2 again, right?
Yeah,
I think you're right. I think you're right. But I think that, like, they can still make it work. I mean,
I agree.
I think D'Angelo, I mean, yeah, it's like, you know, the new NBA is so different now where it's so positionless. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you could have 3 guards or 2 point guards, whatnot.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, D'Angelo does like to score. So if he didn't have to pass, he'd be, you know, happy with that.
Right.
Yeah.
True indeed.
I mean, but as Nelly says, they're not a playoff team. So, like, they can kind of like.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know. I wasn't thinking, right? If I'm D'Angelo and I'm going to another team that isn't championship, I'll pick up my player, but I wouldn't throw a semi shade to Steph.
Right.
Like, I just wouldn't, because my team isn't even on the same level as the Warriors yet. You know, like, if I'm like, I mean, Kyrie throws shade to LeBron, but at least his team is pretty good. But like Minnesota, bro, like, come on, guys.
Well, let's throw this episode in the books. Episode 17.
Yo, so y'all, that was Duane Watson, you know, the writer, the producer, the organizer, the creator, the storyteller. Yo, I should feel like your hype man, yo. Like, real talk.
Yo, for real, hired.
So on the way out,
Instagram stories for me.
So on the way out, Duane, we'd love to give our guests a chance to do a shout out to any projects, people, or things. So what you want to shout out today, Duane?
Man, I want to shout out good rookies, man. I mean, like, I don't really do this that often. Not that I just don't. I mean, sometimes I think, like, I'm mad cool being behind the scenes, whatever. Like, I don't do this to try and get props and stuff, whatever. But I appreciate you guys. You know, like, you guys gave me my flowers today, man. Like, I feel nice. I can't lie. So, thank you. I mean, and you guys are doing your thing. Like, you guys are grinding and making it happen. So, definitely want to shout you guys out. And we got to shout at That Nique Life. And, you know, thank you.
No
Nice.
problem. How about you, Faheem? Your shout out.
I'm going to shout out Duane once again. He's my shout out for today. I started off with he's the Don Corleone of basketball producing content in Canada, period, with a T. I do want to say he's not like the rest of us. I'm a longtime Raptor fan, as we all are. And I'm going to put this up right now. So.
Yo, you want me to get mine?
Yeah, no, that's what
I got
we can have
right,
a ring off right now. I got.
Is that some real? Is that some real?
Unlike some people, we're just so happy to have a ring as a memory of what happened with the championship. Mm-hmm. It's not the real thing, but it's a timestamp. Unlike Duane, who has the real thing.
Not the player thing,
not the
dealer, but
he got the real thing with a nickname engraved. So I mean, like, that's the caliber of what he's put in, and I just want to really shout him out. And like he said, give him his flowers because he's doing big things. And I'm glad that we took the time to actually let people know what's happening behind the scenes. So when they tune in and see the work, they can see the man behind it. So I salute you, and that's my shout out.
Awesome.
Can I get one more shout out?
Yes.
I got to shout out Jomo because, as people who live behind the scenes, you don't really get mentioned or heard a lot. I mean, I knew you guys big him up, but yeah, I can relate. So I got to shout out Jomo too. And also, Nelly, did you know that Faheem was like a nice baller back in the day?
Oh, stop.
Okay. I keep hearing these stories from Prem and other people that he used to play.
Yo, he was nice, yo. I'm a witness to it. I'm a witness to it.
Really?
Yeah, we could.
He was too kind. Actually, we were on the All-Star team at U of T together, men's league.
Oh,
so it's not just me. So if I'm on the men's league All-Star, that means you got to be nice too because you were there too, right?
Yo, Duane is so humble though. He's so humble. He's a humble man, yo. So for my shout out, I want to shout out actually Duane, of course. Big up Duane Watson, guys. Check him out. Nique. Everything, Crown League, whenever Earth opens again, support our own. Also want to shout out actually Alfonso Davies as well. He won Best Canadian Athlete of the Year. So big up Alfonso, doing your thing, bro. We see you.
Nice.
Yeah, get well soon too, because he got hurt, right?
Yeah, he got hurt.
He did. That's right.
That's right.
Get well soon, for
real.
Get
well, buddy.
Mm-hmm. All right.
That's the episode.
That's episode 17.
So
Nelly
y'all.
J?
So guys, thank you so much, guys. As you know, it's #Good Tuesday. Please share with a friend, and of course, comment, like, and subscribe, y'all.
That's right. Check us out: Spotify, Apple Podcasts app, anywhere you want to check for your podcast, we're there for you. That's Good Rookies Podcast, episode 17, and we out.
Peace.
Peace.